Welcome to the Deep Dive. Here, we take the sources you send us, distill them, and really pull out those insights that, well, illuminate things. Today, we're looking at material you shared on something pretty universal. That whole journey, often painful, yeah, but hopeful too, of healing after heartbreak. We all know that feeling, right? And sometimes a book isn't just, words, it feels like a real companion. So we're setting out to understand why this one book, I Don't Love You Anymore, Moving On and Living Your Best Life, didn't just hit bestseller lists, but like really connected with so many people going through tough emotional times. It's more than just popularity. It tells us something about how we look for comfort now.
Precisely. And this deep dive is all about that collection by Rithvik Singh.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is it's not your typical novel or some dense academic thing. Your sources show it's actually free verse poetry, but it's woven together with self-help ideas, emotional healing elements. It's quite a mix.
Yeah, an interesting mix. And our mission today is to unpack why. Why has this book, a national bestseller, winner of the Adigalata Bangalore Literature Festival Book Prize, the Popular Choice Award in 2024, why has it grabbed so many people? What's the core feeling it offers? And what is its success, especially with, a modern audience? Tell us about poetry today and how we find emotional support. Okay, let's just dive right into that central question from your sources. How does a poetry collection, free verse no less, which is often seen as kind of niche, how does it become a massive bestseller in our super fast-paced digital world? It sort of defies expectations, right? What's driving this?
It's a great question, and a lot of the answer seems to lie with the author himself, Rithvik Singh, and his, very modern approach. He didn't come up through traditional poetry circles. Singh actually built a huge following on Instagram for over 500,000 followers, I think. He's known there for these short, very heartfelt, really direct poems. Themes like heartbreak, healing, self-love, things everyone relates to. And this modern, super relatable style, it just clicks. Especially, it seems, with younger readers who might be dealing with intense feelings and looking for something, immediate. And just a few more details from the material you sent. The full title is I Don't Love You Anymore. Moving On and Living Your Best Life. Penguin Random House India is the publisher. And for anyone who prefers audio, there's a Penguin audio version coming July 2025. The English book is about 184 pages. And like we said, it's that free verse style mixed with those self-help, emotional healing bits that really makes it stand out.
Right. So if you're someone, maybe like you listening, who gets info or comfort from quick hits, the way social media works, then Singh, starting as an Instagram poet, suddenly makes a lot of sense. It's like he found this direct line, offering these impactful thoughts that land because they're almost designed for how we consume things now. It makes me wonder, though, what is it about that directness, that lack of, say, complex metaphors? Why is that so potent when someone's hurting?
That's a really sharp question. When someone's going through heartbreak, their cognitive load is often just maxed out. Your emotional system is just overwhelmed, right? So in that state, trying to unpack complicated metaphors or dense literary stuff, it can feel like just another hurdle. But Singh's directness, the way he just names those raw feelings, it offers instant validation. It's like holding up a mirror saying, yeah, this feeling, I get it, I see this pain. And that immediate recognition, it provides this unique comfort. It bypasses the intellectual work and goes straight for the heart. Less about interpretation, more about just feeling understood quickly.
That really does make
Exactly.
sense. Totally different kind of connection.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've talked about how it connects, but what about the what? What are the core messages? What's the emotional journey someone like you would experience reading this? What's the actual heart of I Don't Love You Anymore?
Well, at its core, the book seems designed to be an emotional map told through these poems. It dives right into the pain, breakups, heartbreak, acknowledges how raw that is, doesn't shy away. But, and this is key, it doesn't just leave you sitting in the pain. It tries to guide you gently through healing, through moving on after loss, like step by step. A big piece of it is about finding your self-worth again, really recognizing it. That's incredibly empowering. And it also touches on that tough lesson that love isn't always forever, and that accepting that is, well, actually okay. It's acceptable. So the ultimate destination is choosing self-love, self-acceptance. That's the way forward it presents. And the overall feeling, the tone, lots of readers describe it as being genuinely like a warm hug. It really aims to give comfort, reassurance, and importantly, hope to anyone struggling with letting go, which can be such a hard process.
A warm hug. That's a lovely description. So it's not just poems. It's presented almost like a companion for getting better emotionally. You can picture turning to it and finding, a friend who just gets it, offers the exact right thing to hear when you most need it, that feeling of being really seen. But you also said healing means facing hard truths. How does Singh give comfort without, ignoring the tough stuff? the messy reality of heartbreak.
Yeah, and that's where that directness we talked about comes back in. He doesn't really sugarcoat the pain. He just states it plainly. By naming the specific ache, the confusion, that feeling of loss, he validates you right away. The comfort then comes not from pretending it doesn't hurt, but from that shared understanding and then this gradual, gentle turn towards hope. It's like saying, yes, this absolutely hurts, but then softly nudging you towards, and you can and will get through this. So it's less about a quick fix, much more about walking with you through it all, which feels more real, I think, than just saying, cheer up.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting, based on the sources you shared. The feedback is fascinatingly varied. How did readers, everyone from devoted fans to maybe more literary types, how did they react to this mix of poetry and emotional support? What can we learn from what they said about what people actually want from books when they're distressed?
The positive feedback is really strong, overwhelmingly so. And it consistently points to that deep emotional impact. For instance, Garima Shekri on Goodreads, she called it deeply healing, said, this book helped me heal the broken parts of myself. Reminded me that my value doesn't depend on someone else's choice.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful, right? Another reader, Isha, gave it 3.75 out of 5, but was really enthusiastic. If I had a physical copy, I would have highlighted almost everything. So many beautiful lines. Then there was Harshi, who shared something quite visceral, actually. Said one line just hit so hard it made her stop and cry because it mirrored her own healing at that moment.
Oh.
And Cellcore23 just called it like a warm hug, echoing that comfort idea again. Kanwarpal Singh, reading the Hindi version, specifically liked how it captured that whole arc, the heartbreak, the healing, and finding self-respect again. But, for a balanced picture, your sources definitely show some mixed or critical views, too. Some readers felt the poems were maybe too short, leaning into that, quote, Instagram poetry style. A few mentioned that while it hit emotionally, it perhaps lacked the, let's say, literary depth or complex crafts you might find in more traditional poetry, suggesting it really prioritized being relatable over maybe layered artistry.
So, okay, there's this definite tension, huge emotional resonance on one side, some literary critique on the other. But what's striking, and your sources kept pointing this out, is that even critics often admitted, yeah, the book nails its main goal, in comforting, easy to get, and emotionally resonant. Does this mean we need to maybe adjust how we value different kinds of writing, especially stuff explicitly meant to help people heal?
Absolutely. I think it really surfaces a key question for you listening right now. When you're going through something tough and you turn to a book, what actually matters most to you? Is it that deep literary complexity that you have to kind of unpack and analyze? Or is it more about accessible, relatable support that speaks right to what you're feeling, offering that quick hit of validation and solace? It's not that one's inherently better, right? But maybe recognizing that different forms serve different needs, equally valid needs, especially when you're feeling vulnerable. And this book clearly bets on the second option, impact and connection over, say, classical poetic structures.
That's a really great point to think about. It changes the frame on what quality even means when we talk about emotional support through writing. Okay, let's dig a bit more into the style itself, the writing. What specifically is Rithvik Singh doing with language that connects so well with his particular audience?
His style is very, very distinct. It's free verse, like we said, often quite short poems, very direct. He seems to consciously steer clear of really complex or dense metaphors. It feels like a deliberate choice, and that makes it instantly relatable, very easy to digest, especially if you're already dealing with a lot of emotional pain. The main job of the writing here, as we've kind of established, is that emotional support, that healing vibe. It's not about showing off intricate literary skill. He's really choosing clarity, choosing connection over maybe more abstract expression. And this gives some context. If you like writers such as, say, Rup Picard or maybe Nigel Zebian, those who also go for that emotional immediacy, that direct address in short verse, you probably connect quite well with Singh's approach. But on the other hand, if you really prefer deep metaphorical classic poetry, the kind that invites lots of interpretation, rewards that close reading, then yeah, this book might feel, like some critics said, maybe a bit too light, perhaps too straightforward for your taste.
That comparison really helps place it. And looking at the specific pros and cons that reviewers brought up in your sources, a very clear pattern emerges. Strengths. Overwhelmingly. It's comforting, it's healing, it's super relatable. The modern, easy-to-read style makes it perfect for people right in the middle of heartbreak. And it seems to effectively build up self-worth and resilience, but in a really accessible way. But then the flip side, what some saw as weaknesses. The shortness of the poems, for instance. That could be a negative if you're expecting longer, more developed pieces. Some found it a bit repetitive sometimes, or maybe simplistic. And yeah, that Instagram-ish quality, the very thing that makes it accessible, could be less appealing to serious poetry fans looking for, deep literary craft. It offers less in terms of narrative arc, maybe, more like fragments of feeling than a whole story.
But what's so interesting there is many of those perceived weaknesses are arguably just intentional choices. They directly serve the book's main purpose. That direct, simple style, the focus on immediate feeling, the short format, it's all crafted to make it that gentle, healing companion that's easy to pick up and absorb. When you're feeling vulnerable, the last thing you need is something that feels like hard work, right? You need comfort, you need understanding. And Singh's style seems engineered to deliver that without adding extra mental load. It just meets you right where you are.
Right. So just to quickly wrap up the core offering of I Don't Love You Anymore based on your sources, it's a national bestseller that really seems to choose emotional honesty and accessible comfort over complex literary forms. It's not trying to be high art in that traditional way, maybe, but in doing that, it's clearly provided real solace, validation, and that deep sense of being understood to tons of readers. Its success really pushes us to think again about what poetry can do and what it means in our world today.
Yeah, and as you think about this deep dive, maybe just consider how all these different kinds of creative expression, from really traditional literature to this modern social media inflected verse, how each one holds its own unique power, a power to heal, a power to connect. Perhaps the real measure of a work's impact isn't always about sticking to old forms or impressing the critics. Maybe it's more about its ability to actually meet people where they are, to offer that warm hug, as the readers put it, exactly when it's needed most. It reminds us that sometimes maybe the simplest words are the ones that carry the most profound healing.
That is a powerful thought to end on, and it definitely resonates with the material you brought us today. Think about it. How do you find comfort? How do you find insight in the words you engage with, whatever form they take? What really connects? Join us next time on The Deep Dive for another look into the stories and sources shaping our understanding.